Welcome to this week's edition of Stock Market Pulse. My name is Eric. Today is Monday, January 18th, 2016. The regular market is closed today for Martin Luther King Day, so we do have a shortened trading week. I wanted to do kind of a quick sort of weekly wrap on what I'm looking for this week. This week's going to be interesting because, like I said, it's a 4-day trading week, so it's shortened. Typically, I would give the market in favor of the bulls for that, but given that we're kind of, continues to move lower, volatility starting to, creep up, all that, it's difficult to give this to the bulls. Now, the futures that did trade today, earlier today, they did indicate maybe a slightly higher open. I'm just not really convinced that that's going to hold. So what I'm basically looking to do is take short signals based on the hourly chart. And what I'm going to be looking at mainly, I like trading SPY puts and calls, but in this case, I'm more wanting short-term trades because I just don't know how long anything in either direction is going to hold. So if I switch down to like an hourly chart, I actually did this last week. It worked out pretty well. And the main one, the best one that I did was on Wednesday. And you can see that I'm using my DMI Stochastic Extreme. I'm on the hourly chart. And this was, Wednesday morning, we kind of starting to get overbought. And, it's very simple. I bought puts right around the 10:30 hour. And we're going to look at the option here in a minute so you can see how that worked out. But basically, I bought puts right around here. I put my stop above the previous candle, and I'll show you that on the option. But basically, just rode these puts down to the end of the day. I took half of my puts off the table. I held some overnight. Ended up getting stopped out. Actually, and I think I tweeted something like this. I actually I didn't get out for break even, but had I put a break even stop on the second half, I would have, killed it on Friday. But I wasn't that lucky. I was actually kind of wanting to get out Friday because I was taking the day off anyway, so that's a different story. But the point is, I'm looking for hourly charts to the downside, take profits on the way down, at least take profits by the end of the day. If you want to hold some overnight, that's fine. But obviously, this thing's very, kind of choppy. And last week was options expiration, so it'll be interesting to see how this shortened week goes. So let's look at the option. I was trading, I'm going to go with the option chain, and I was trading a Delta 70. At the time, it was a Delta 70. Right now, it's not, but I was trading a Delta 70 February option that had at least 32 days, in this case, February. So I was in the 189 puts at the time. So I'm going to right-click the put option, and I'm going to send it to my green link setup. So you can see I have it linked green. If I go over to my charts, it's also linked green, and now I'm actually looking at the option. So whenever I'm looking for a trade, I'll just look at the option. And so if the market is, selling off, that's obviously when you want to buy puts and the puts gain in value, so you can see the actual price here. And so this is what I did. I got in those put options on Wednesday for 3.25-ish, right? Rallied to the end of the day, got out. I think it was around 450. I didn't get out at the very, peak of the day, but it was around 4. It was 4 and change. Put my break even stop here. Like I said, it never came back and hit the break even stop, but I didn't put a break even stop. I actually stopped myself out before. I didn't want to hold in the Friday because I wasn't going to be really paying attention on Friday. I was taking the day off sort of. So obviously had I held on to that, it would have, had a pretty good pop. But the point is you can make a decent amount of money in a few hours trading these things. And by going Delta 70, going deeper in the money, you minimize some of the volatility that comes into play. So that way, I definitely don't recommend buying out of the money options right now. Some people, you may want to sell out of the money options. You could have very well sold some put spreads and, weekly put spreads and kind of taking that and bottom back, that kind of thing. I just like going Delta 70-ish with at least 30 days left, and you can avoid a little bit of the volatility. It's not all together, but it's a little bit less of a factor for you. So I'm basically going to be looking to do the same thing. So let's go back to the SPY, and I'm okay with February options for now. Our Delta 70, and here's a Delta. So I'd be looking at the 194 puts, right? These are Delta 73. And I would, let's just take a look at those. Green, take a look at the chart. You're trading for $8, and you can go a little bit more in the money, but as of right now, these puts are oversold. Okay, so if we, we'll see how this week goes up. If we start kind of flat and this thing starts to turn back up, then I would simply buy the puts. I'd place a stop, right around $8. I don't want to hang on. If it reverses, I just want to get out, right? But if we get in and we get a rally up and get from, let's call it $8, 8.05 to $10, that's like a 20% gain. I'll take that, all day long. So I'm looking for a buy signal on the puts. I'm looking at the 194s at this point, and we'll see what that looks like tomorrow. So I do want to take a quick look at some of the previous market leaders before we go. I want to look at Facebook. I'm going to look at the FANG stocks. Facebook. Let me zoom out a little bit. So these are the previous market leaders, and that's, I think, what ultimately is the problem with the market right now. There really is no leader. People are taking profits in the previously what was known as the momentum stocks. In this case, it was mainly Facebook, Google, Amazon, and Netflix. And you can see these charts are really starting to break down. It doesn't look as bad, but it just kind of goes to show there really is no leader, and it's really hard to figure out where money is going to. So right now, Facebook is trading. I like Facebook around 90. I would, it's, if you just look at the chart, I mean, it's not quite oversold technically on my DMI down here, but it's kind of choppy. And if it gets down to this level again, that could be a place to start kind of nibbling on these things, to the long side. I still think shorter time frames are better right now. You could wake up overnight and all of a sudden, there's another sanction lifted or something in China. So I think shorter time frame is for your trading right now. Let's take a look at Amazon. Amazon lost almost 4% on Friday, and obviously it's kind of breaking down here. It did come into this gap fill area, so that'll be an interesting level. If the market really kind of just gives up the ghost, I think Amazon could probably hold the 500 level. At that point, instead of buying options, I'd probably be selling put spreads or something on this. But I still like Amazon long term. I just don't want to say that the selling is going to be over yet, right? So Google lost almost 3% on Friday, and we'll kind of zoom out. Same thing. It's kind of coming in. There's a little bit more support around 700. It's a pretty big round number, but we do have a gap fill around 680. So I'd be looking for that level to potentially hold, maybe trade off of if you can hit that into an oversold in an oversold condition. And the last one we'll look at real quick is Netflix, also down almost 3% on Friday last week, and it has earnings, so I'm not touching this thing. You can see the last time it reported earnings, it actually sold off a little bit and ultimately kind of rallied back up. So, if earnings is that tomorrow? Yeah, the 19th after the bell, so that'll be interesting. If Netflix really gives up the ghost, then I think the overall market is in trouble. I think the single most important factor, though, for the market, if you were to put it on one thing, is the price of oil. And there's just no bottom in sight. And if we don't see this turn back up anytime soon, there's going to be pressure on the market. So until then, we're in sell the rally mode. I'm looking for hourly charts, sell signals. I use the DMI stochastic, but some of you guys use the MACD or percent R, and that's fine too. But I just like the hourly time frame. I think that's enough. I think it's short enough to take some decent trades off of, but also long enough to where you're not getting shook out here in a few minutes. So that's what I got. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you at the next update.